Well, increased flight prices have made it quite tricky for some fans to get to Kiev, so much so that a group of Liverpool supporters have decided to get a coach leaving tomorrow morning.
Okay, we feel enough time has passed. We're going to have a chat about Liverpool's 8th European Cup final, and more specifically how we got there and how we got back. So a 3,500 mile trip or thereabouts on a bus, initially down to take around 5 days, eventually took 6. Gibbo jibbed it and got a plane. I don't blame him. But yeah, 15 of us on a bus. We left Liverpool the early hours of, I don't know, what feels like a long time ago. May the 24th, my notes tell me. And so we're going to try and tell the story of it for the sake of this video. Because even though Liverpool lost, we all had a good time, didn't we, Gibbo?
Yeah, we did. I feel like some context on me jibbing it. I did have a flight to catch to Spain for the wedding, so I wouldn't normally leave any man behind. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. At least the 3 quarters I was on, you know, there was. I think everyone had a few tough times and stuff like that. You know, when you got no concept of where you're at, what time it is, why you're so hot, when you get in your next shower. But generally speaking, everyone got on, boss. Like, some really good laughs on there, which I'm sure we'll get into. The drivers were absolutely wild. And yeah, I don't think I'd have done it any other way looking back. Like, it was
I mean,
good.
I think we've got to sort of start at the start, haven't we, and say why it all happened. So, I mean, everyone will have seen the headlines and the stories about fans being ripped off in terms of hotels, in terms of flights, in terms of every possible way to get there. And so this came up as an opportunity. It was sold to us as a luxury coach. All mod cons, air conditioning, tellies, tea making facilities, fridges, sockets for your phone and to plug things in, and it all sounded boss, didn't it, Craig? And then it was all tits up before we'd left England.
Yeah, I can't remember if the aircon ever did work. Did it?
Work,
Josh got him to turn it off. we must have got to about Birmingham, and like it was obviously like early hours of Thursday morning. It was absolutely freezing, and we got this aircon like blasting down on our head. So I turned around to the driver and was like, "Any chance we can get this knocked off for a bit?" And then obviously, somewhere down the line, you start to think about the decision you made in life and start to regret things.
Imagine not wanting
Just thinking about the aircon blowing through my hair in Birmingham, fucking glorious.
So something happened, didn't it, somewhere along the way? I mean,
I think it was Josh turned it off, but
I
sounds
think
of
my
things.
mate Gary plugged a cement mixer. I see it's a blow some kind of fuse.
Gary's cement mixer.
So very soon the luxury trip, 15 of us on a luxury coach, was reduced to it just being quite a normal coach with no electricity, with no air conditioning, so we had to have the window open for the majority of the trip, except when we were recording because it was too loud. One of the reasons to go on the coach again was podcast content, video. Gibbo famously or infamously was doing an interview with Sky and described the people on the bus as sweaty boys, which I think was a fairly accurate description, wasn't it, mate?
It was. I didn't think he was going to get that much of a laugh, like, but there was a lot of sweaty boys. And then just had loads of texts from home, people who obviously watch this Sky Sports News just with sweaty boys.
I'm getting a flag for the next European Cup final. John Gibbons, sweaty voice.
Hashtag sweaty voice could definitely be like the number 1 trend.
So we made our way down. It was sort of middle of the night when we left. It was around 2 a.m. I think when we finally left Man Island, down to the bottom of England, onto the Eurostar. Who was it who came on the mission with me to find the toilet?
That's a walk about 10
Eurostar?
miles
It
to
was
find the
unbelievable,
toilet.
wasn't
Yeah.
it? So I mean, anyone who doesn't know how it works, you literally drive the coach onto the train and then off you go. And there's no space and there's no bar, you're just on a train, aren't you, going under the sea. And we went looking for these bogs, and honest to God,
It was so far that I never actually saw the out. Do you know, we never saw the outside. We only whenever we got there and we left for the toilets, we looked outside and you could see England, and by the time we got back, you looked outside and you could see France. That's not a joke. That's being serious. That's how long it was. It took about 20 minutes each way, and that's less than length of the Eurotunnel.
The worst bit as well was like getting to the actual bogs, because you sort of when you've been on that longer walk and you've probably held it in for as long as we'd all done. By the time you get to the bogs, you want some sort of salvation there, and it absolutely wasn't to be. They were like train. But the worst bit was when we got there and one of the doors was shut. And no one knew who was in it, and I think there was only like 2 bogs, so we were all basically queuing for one bog because one of the doors just shut forever. And then Dave, the coach driver, who you're going to find out more about probably later in this, comes out and she goes, "Won't go in there, lads." So I was just like,
Give it 5 minutes.
I reckon that smell could have killed a small baby, honestly. It was absolutely horrendous.
He's a big fella, Dave.
Yeah, Dave was the additional coach driver we'd all never met before, but it's fair to say it was a colourful character, to say the least, on the trip.
Chester, the second race landfill. It's a cracking tip.
Yeah, well.
Wow.
Really bad. Hey, Dad! I promise you, by the end of the week, you'll be giggling at my jokes. Good one, that Dave.
I want to try and do it in order of what we can remember, sort of day by day, if you like. So we're still on day one or night one. Obviously, we're all dead excited. Everyone came loaded with ale, food. But Gibbo didn't have a book. So and on your way down, you decided after a few berries to pick up some reading, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I did. It didn't seem that weird at the time for whatever reason, but I was just having a little look and I didn't have anything to read, and as you say, and there was a few books in there, and there was like the bargain bin that they have in service stations. And one of the books was Kevin Peterson's autobiography. I thought, like with cricket, that'd be good. And then I saw Jodie Marsh's autobiography, My Life Story, and £1.75. It just appealed, and I thought, well, why not? And if I'd have known how much joy it would have given me, I'd have insisted on paying full price for it, because it was. I mean, she featured heavily on the trip, I would say, probably more than any of us could have anticipated.
I remember being stood behind you as you were perusing the shelves for books, and you pulled out Jodie Marsh keeping it real. I just didn't question it at all.
Yeah,
anyone could have intervened at any point. No, this is just perfectly normal.
That's the mad bit about it. Nobody blinked an eyelid. And I remember
It's 4 a.m.
I suppose. He came out with the books, and I said, "What have you got there?" And he said, "Kevin Peterson and Jodie Marsh." And I thought, "I signed that." And it was only the next day that I sort of thought about it and thought, "That's a bit mad, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Pre-European Cup final reading, Jodie Marsh.
Must have been pissed when I bought these books.
Jodie Marsh. I thought that, but I didn't want to say nothing.
That is a crack at that, lad. 175.
It wasn't an up-to-date one either. It was from 2006 or something. So you really stepped back in time. But that was quite nice because I'm a big fan of nostalgia. So it was good to remember all the late 90s, early 2000s celebrities that you'd forgot about. The likes of the Gaffney,
Kenzie from Blazing Squad.
Wasn't it described as the must-have book of the summer or something? And you were just thinking it might have been in 2006. It's definitely not that. Little did you know.
Yeah, little did I know. But yeah, I mean, she's graphic in it. She's not afraid to tell you what she's been up to, and who she's been up to. And yeah, it was just absolutely wild. My senses were incredibly heightened by now, and the smell was driving me wild. I craved to touch it or lick her perfect skin. She looked me in the eye, she touched her breast, slowly running her hands down her stomach to her thighs, just brushing past the small sides of her tight little minge. I'm not sure I'd want to go for a pint with her.
You don't know where you'd end up after that.
I mean, she's
on a jet ski. You'd be back at Gaffney's gaff watching her get goosed, or watching her mate get goosed or something.
Right.
I feel like we should. I mean, on the subject of stories and how you tell them, I feel like we should probably have done, and we haven't done, some introduction. So I'm Gareth Roberts, got Craig Hannon, Josh Sexton, Sean Walsh, and John Gibbons. There was other people on the bus, obviously. So Dave, the bus driver, Si, the bus driver, Charlotte, who was Si's daughter, my mates Gary, Craig, and Johnny. Dan Austin, Neil Atkinson, I've got everyone. Ian Ryan, of course, Ian Ryan. And Joe, who's behind the camera and is hiding and is refusing to be on this video by the looks of things. But Joe was a late addition to the coach as well.
Day, was it? Do you want to come to Kiev
that day you were
tonight?
asked? Yeah, it was literally get to, all right, Joe, fancy Kiev there.
On a bus.
Because Sam, unfortunately, our usual cameraman, if you like, the lad who does all talk and reds and everything else, had a bit of a family matter going on. So, yeah, late edition, but Joe was in there on the back of the bus, Rumpelstiltskin boots on, got it in. And, I mean... So where are we up to? So we're in England, but we've done the Channel Tunnel. We get over into France, into Calais. I remember stopping somewhere. Was it Belgium? I think we stopped for a little bit in Belgium.
Is that when you got spaghetti bolognese for your breakfast?
I had
Belgium?
a massive plate of spaghetti bolognese for breakfast.
We went into some mad cafe, and like they had sort of like mild breakfast options. And then we said to the girl, like, oh, can we get them? And she's like, oh, we don't serve them yet, but they do in the shop over there. So, like, a couple of us went over to the shop. But Craig just decided to stick to his guns and just went, you know what, I'll just have the bolognese.
I like to say, I'll have a burger, please. She went, no, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, it's not unreasonable.
Early burgers.
I love the bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese.
I was hoping for some sort of like I like to be cultured whenever we go on these trips to different places, and we were in Belgium, so I thought we might get some like Belgian local delicacies, and all it was just this massive plate of bolognese, but it was really good, and I don't regret it for a second.
At the moment, yeah, we're just stuck on services somewhere in Belgium. Little issue with the minibus at the moment in that a fuse is blown on it, which means we haven't got any air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and we can't charge phones and all that. So that's handy, isn't it? But all part of the adventure. So everyone's just milling about, everyone's cracked a beer, and everyone's enjoying themselves still. So hopefully we can get out of here soon, continue our journey, head towards Berlin, and have a good night out there. But the big revelation so far of this trip has got to be what Craig Hannon wears over his face to get to sleep at night. Craig Hannon, where are you? Come and show everyone what you put over your face at night to get to sleep.
Right, no, I don't usually put it.
You've got no mic on, so we can't hear you. You're just gonna have to wear it for the cameras. Look at this beauty. Quite the sight.
Can I just say before because we talked about Joe there, I think it's a measure of the man that he was only asked on the day, or basically the day before we were leaving to go to Kiev, and with no questions asked, he just said yes, because when we were leaving Avenue HQ, and I met him and I was sort of talking about bits of the trip, he hadn't a fucking clue about anything. I said, oh, it'll be good going to Berlin tomorrow night, wouldn't it? And he's like, oh, what are we up to in Berlin? And I was like, staying over. He just didn't have a clue. It's as if nobody had communicated and just said, do you want to come on a bus to Kiev for the Anfield Wrap? You do some filming and we'll sort the rest. And he went, yeah, sound.
I mean, the itinerary. I mean, we could do a little bit on the itinerary, couldn't we? The idea was that we get over, we're into Europe, and we're in Berlin, as Craig suggests, for a night out. But very quickly things started to slip, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? We stuck around a little bit in Belgium while the coach drivers were trying to get a part or find out what had gone wrong with the coach and try and get the air conditioning back on.
Get the cement mixer off.
Yeah, leave Gary's cement mixer behind after it blown the lecky. But that didn't get resolved, and we just carried on across Europe with no air conditioning, with no lecky and everything else.
Currently we are near Antwerp, and it is about 1:15 local time, and we're edging ever closer, quite slowly at the moment, towards Germany and that. John Gibbons joining me first. Have you found the trip so far? Anything surprised you? Any highlights? Any lowlights?
No, it's been sound. It's been sort of fairly smooth so far. Like, I think everyone managed to get some kit, which is good. There's a bit of an issue going with the air conditioner at the moment, but we've got the sunroof open, and when we're moving, which we're not right now, but when we are, then that's keeping everyone cool. So yeah, spirits are high, and why wouldn't we? We're all off to watch Liverpool in the European Cup.
We've currently got a Liverpool flag trailing out the window as well, which has just got a bit of notice from a Belgian truck driver. He'll be a mank then, won't he? It is a bit warm.
I've said to Neil then, next stop we're going Skins on the way to Berlin. Skins all the way.
Explain why you're hot.
What's the work on, honestly? It's the work on, it's roasting.
I've read 3 chapters and she's an absolute bellend, to be honest with you.
This is, when you hear about people talking about going to European Cup finals and European aways, this is what you hear them talk about, the mad journeys, the mad bus journeys and train journeys, just getting there by whatever means possible. So this is all part of it, and I'm so happy we're doing it this way rather than just a day trip or something that's just not as exciting. Ask me what I think of this bus journey, maybe tomorrow when we're on our way to Kiev, when we're hungover after a night out in Berlin. But this is what it's all about. I'm bursting with excitement, and I just can't wait. Not just for the European Cup final, the fact that there's loads of little sort of side stories that we've got, like Prague, got a night out in Berlin tonight, the square. Just meet up to be going. Can't wait.
I'm And by the time we got to Berlin, I think we were sweaty boys, as you mentioned, but also tired boys. And it wasn't, well, certainly not for me anyway, it wasn't a big night. It was just a couple of pints and then got me head down. Some of the others tried to have a bigger night, but we'll come on to that.
Yeah, I was with you. I think I had one more pint with you, and then it was sort of a takeaway at home because you didn't get. I think we were about 6 hours behind, weren't we? Which looking back wasn't bad for considering how the rest of it kind of panned out, but. I just had a few. It was I like Berlin, and where we were staying was pretty central, so we were able to get some like decent places and have a bit of a bevy. But as you say, for some of the younger, more adventurous ones, that wasn't quite enough.
My number one rule on the way to Germany, I kept saying to Walshy, was we are not going to any big techno clubs.
And to be fair, you didn't.
Because I was worried those clubs will gobble you up and spit you out days later, and I thought we're going to the European Cup final, keep us away. But then, like, it's excitement, isn't it? Excitement takes over. We'd had a few drinks the whole way there, and we decided to give it a go, Walshy.
Yeah, we tried our best, didn't we? Craig was like giving it loads, saying, we go here to one of the best clubs in Berlin, we'll all get in, we'd boss, let's go.
No, I didn't say we'd all get in, I said it's very difficult to get in.
Well, it's important to state as well how much Craig's enthusiasm tailed off from like being far away from the technographs to being right up close. So like when he's first selling it, he's like, oh yeah, they're amazing, like some people don't come out for days and stuff like that. And as we got closer, we got out of the taxi and he's going, right, don't look at your phones, everybody stand up straight, put Charlotte near the front of the group, and so I was like,
which worked.
It did work.
Which worked. There are rules. There are rules to clubs in Berlin. Too many lads, like you need a girl there. You can't like all these stupid rules. So we put the girl at the front, which worked, but only worked for 2 of us, and then the rest didn't get in, and it was.
Didn't Joe have a few issues with his ID?
Oh, Joe turned into a 15-year-old using a fake ID, even though he's definitely of age. He was getting his wallet out, and I've never seen someone shaking or like struggling to get their ID out so much. He was stood at the back of us. He was sort of like hiding behind me, like playing with his wallet, trying to riddle his ID out. Whispers to me, "It's not working, this."
But then we had a brilliant night. Like we went to this kebab gaff, which like it's gonna sound really bad when I describe it. We had a lovely time there, and then we decided to go back to the hotel bar.
The fella in the pizza shop thought calling Joe Super Mario.
It's gonna all be on the cutting room floor, that because it's Joe editing the video.
we did get back to the hotel bar, and we had a lovely time there, to the point I think we left when it was light again. So we went back to the room about like half five, and to be fair, Joe outdid himself that night.
I think the Joe Salah song. Was that from then?
He basically stood in the foyer of the hotel with us singing like Joe Salah, Joe Salah. I felt really sorry for the hotel receptionist, just sat watching us 4 or 5
just in the whole bar.
Idiots.
So yeah, we get back on the road then after the night out in Berlin. Carry on.
Hang on. I think we should point out that the lads went sightseeing in the morning. They got a taxi back to the wrong hotel.
To be honest, it started off really well. So we got a taxi to the Brandenburg Gate, and we got pitched outside there. We had the flag and everything, so it was all going well. Team youth was doing bits. We had Google Maps out doing a sort of walk around of all the sites, and we're like, we'll go to Checkpoint Charlie because that's not far from the hotel, or it wasn't meant to be anyway. So we get an Uber from Checkpoint Charlie, and I'm sort of scrolling through. And I type in what the hotel's called. I think it's like Hamptons by Hilton or something. So I type that in, and it comes up with one that's in Berlin and one that's in New York, and then it wouldn't let you scroll any further. So I was like, well, we're not going to New York, so it must be that one. So you click on this one, and we're driving for a bit, and when we get in the taxi, the driver says the name of a street, and like we sort of really don't understand what he's saying. But Craig gets in the taxi and she goes, "Yeah."
I basically thought, how wrong could this go? He knows where we're going. Yeah. I was thinking though, like the last time I went to the zoo, it was like a 30-minute like tram or whatever underground. That was one of the low points for Team Youth, because we'd left the actual adults and we tried to do Berlin on our own, and we hadn't really succeeded, had we?
Because when we were at Checkpoint Charlie, we were already late, and I text Neil saying we're at Checkpoint Charlie, so it would be 5-10 minutes in a taxi, because that was at 12, which is the time we were meant to be back at the hotel, or what Simon had told us anyway. So for the extra drive to the wrong hotel, and then the 45 minutes I think it took to get back, we actually got to the hotel like 5-1.
Yeah,
Me and Craig.
we did a show.
Yeah.
While we were waiting for you.
And they went and got a part, which also didn't work.
Yeah, they were still trying to fix the van. Still no aircon. Still no lecky.
We were late and thinking, oh, at least by the time we get back, they'll have sorted the aircon out. And
No.
got back.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. And then we discovered, and it wasn't much of a discovery. It's not Christopher Columbus this, but we found out Germany was big, didn't we? Because we got back into a coach, and then it took a long time to get anywhere else. Basically, where are we, lads? Still in Germany, lads. Yeah. And then eventually, after many more takeaways and forecourts and what have you, we get to a border. I mean, it's fair to say at this point as well, our next proper kip or any type of kip was supposed to be in Ukraine. So the idea was stopping at a place a few hundred miles outside of Kiev, wasn't it?
Lviv, wasn't it, I think?
Sarny.
Sarny.
Yeah, Sarny it was. And we were supposed to get a kip there. It eventually ends up that we don't get a kip there because we're so behind on the schedule. We get a shower at a really nice hotel. Probably the next big thing then is the border, isn't it? So we get into Poland. That was fine. But then when we get to the border of Poland and Ukraine, got a bit interesting at that point, didn't it? Someone got it up on the phone that some website said there was a 7-hour queue, and it looked that way from the bus as well, didn't it?
It was dreadful. Like to wake up and see that was the most demoralising thing after such a long journey. And when we say sleep, like it was setting up sleep, and it was about 3 hours.
Graft, wasn't it?
Yeah. Gibbo famously woke up from his sleep and described it as graft, which I've never heard.
He was tired of when he went to sleep.
Like another day.
It's fair to say that Gibbo was really struggling against being jolted out of sleep. He was absolutely all over the show with the roads this coach was going down.
Some of the sleeping positions were absolutely amazing as well. I mean, like
Josh had his head.
Josh's head.
He was doing a handstand nearly.
It's got to be said, like how much I didn't want to sleep sitting up. So like my body was trying its best not to sleep sitting up while I'm sat on this chair, which just got the arm out and everything. I was absolutely all
like
over
your head, like where the toilet was, effectively.
Oh yeah, and then Craig, not Hannon, Craig Gareth's mate had a piss in the bottle next to my head, which was sad.
Yeah. I mean, you were basically you basically looked like I seen you asleep at one point, and you just looked like a letter N. And I was like, how's he doing that? How can he be asleep while that's happening?
But yeah, we got to this queue, and like I just remember looking at Josh and thinking, we can't have to go through this. That would have been just terrible. And then we felt the bus sort of go into the other lane, which was opposing traffic. It was traffic coming the other way.
Dave was like sort of negotiating with Simon. So Simon was driving at this point, and a bus like goes past us, but it's like crawling past us, and we just sort of watch it go down. And then Dave goes, I'll follow him down there. And Simon's going, no, it's like the opposite way. Like you can't do that. And he's like, well, where's that bus going? Follow that bus. And then a police car sort of comes like streaming past as well and cuts into the line a bit further up. So Dave's thinking like sometimes you can do with a police escort, oh, we'll follow that in and cut in where that's gone. No, they literally carry on driving past this police car and everything. Like Dave actually gets out to speak to the police and goes, can we keep going down there? Can we keep going? And the police guy, I don't think he actually understood what Dave was saying, but Dave seemed to take what he said as a yeah, which I think is what he was always going to do anyway. And we keep driving down this whole queue till eventually we're like actually at where the toll gate or whatever you call it, the sort of like the actual border entrance is. And by this point, everyone's woken up and just been thinking like, how we just missed that whole queue?
Yeah.
That queue, and I'm not exaggerating, was between 1.5 miles and 2 miles long. It wasn't
moving.
Felt like we were driving. Yeah, it was completely gridlock. It felt like we were driving for like, I'm talking 5 minutes up that queue. That's how long it was. I have no idea what time we would have got to Kiev. I'd imagine our experience of Kiev would be a lot different. That would have been a pivotal moment, sitting in that queue for 7 hours without a shower.
Just made kick-off.
Yeah,
like
you know what I mean?
unbelievable. So like fair play to him. When he did get up to the border, he was elevated to a cult hero at that stage of that trip. That was his moment that had all been building up to for Dave. I think yeah, he just sort of like like waddled out of the car and like ran up to the.
And when we say run, he was running everywhere. Like so he gets out of the van and like sprints over to the guards, and like I'm just looking at him thinking, you're gonna get shot here, lad, or something. Like you don't run towards guards who've got like assault rifles strapped to them.
Didn't someone say he had like a turn of pace like Mo Salah?
I think that was Ian Ryan. Ian Ryan just goes Mo Salah there.
And then all he kept shouting at any border control or any guards was just
without any discussion beforehand as well.
No, there was no plan.
There's no plan.
He must have thought of this during his run because he hadn't actually said anything yet when we were at the border. He hadn't sort of started the LFC press shouts as they became known to be. But he'd gone down to negotiate with the guards, and he comes back up and goes, right, I've said I've got the press on board. Has anybody got a press card? And then everyone looks back at Gareth and is like, Gareth's got one. So Gareth has to get off and go negotiate.
You had no shoes on already.
No,
and he was like, hurry up.
Yeah, come on, LFC press. And I'm like, what?
Here's the pressman.
Yeah, LFC press. This is the pressman. LFC press. LFC press. And basically been selling this story to coppers and bordermen and whatever they call border control, that I was some kind of media mogul and that we needed to get through faster than everyone else. So yeah, I'm just stood there, this fella's looking at me with a machine gun, just like bemused by Dave, bemused by me, bemused by the coach, and I'm showing me press card going, sound this.
You're saying to John, get your camera, come and show him your camera.
I know, yeah.
Going to prove that
Oh yeah, he was asking us to set out cameras on the table and any sound equipment we had to make it look. So imagine like the police did come on and we're all stood with like microphones. Like how mad would we have looked?
You getting that, Joe?
That's the magic card that got us to Shevchenko Park.
Imagine if he didn't have one though. Like what would he have done? Just like go back to the back of the queue. Unlucky.
He was never going to the back of that queue.
No.
LFC press.
It was very, very early in the morning because we still had quite a drive to get to the hotel, which we had only had time to shower at. We had half an hour. So like it gave everyone a bit of a lift, and that carried us through to get to the hotel to get a shower, and then it was the day of the European Cup final, so then we were ready.
It's worth saying, by the way, I think Simon probably gets too much credit for what happened at the border because like him and Dave had been arguing since Germany. It's worth point. They'd literally been arguing since Germany.
Yeah, they called each other pricks.
Yeah, I've been watching the whole enterprise unfold. But like when they got to the border, Simon's going like, I can't drive the wrong way down the road, Dave. Like I can't just drive past all these coaches. And Dave's going, just do it. Promise me, do it. Promise me. And like he says, get me to that police car and I'll speak to the policeman and stuff. But the best bit was in Germany when we were on the autobahn, and I think it was Simon who was driving at this point, and we're a bit close to like the lorry in front, and Dave goes to him, getting too close to the lorry in front there, dickhead, because we sort of had to slam the brakes on a few times. And Simon just turns around to Dave and goes, don't call me dickhead.
the relationship between those two was mad, wasn't it? Like when Charlotte crashed them up about what he put on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Because he put Dave, like they were from different firms, weren't they? And like Dave had just sort of been roped in to help with the driving because it was such a long drive, and it was Dave had turned out to put on his own Facebook like just taking the Anfield Wrap lads to Ukraine here or whatever.
Rigby's
like,
travel.
Yeah, and like Charlotte and a dad were both like, no mention of us there, is there? You know what I mean? It was absolutely banged to rights. So yeah, we get through to another sort of checkpoint type thing, didn't we? After this initial press card thing, and then the sniffer dogs get on.
Oh yeah, that was mad.
So that's the dog handler, isn't it? Who gets on the dog's absolutely like everyone's made up by the dog as well.
Oh, Spaniel.
Brilliant.
Gibbo said later in the trip about moments that he classed as up the Reds territory, and the dog getting on was very much the start of the Reds territory. Like when this dog came on, I reckon it was the scousest thing ever actually, because he goes to the back of the bus and Robbo and Johnny, his mate, is sat there, and Johnny just turns around and goes, "Oh, hello, kid."
And the dog's gonna let on.
Like me. Job, dog time.
She's seeing you here.
And that's the
You're
thing.
not too going to the final, yeah.
The dog got a lot of love for what he essentially is. He's a dog grass, isn't he? Like that's what he is. There was a contentious moment, wasn't there, on the border when the
remnants of a what should we call it? Remnants of a ciggy you're not really allowed to have.
One of the naughty cigarettes.
Yeah. I think the dog was on it. and there was a little bit of a, ooh, hang on, what's going to go on here? But we were all right.
It was funny watching the border control at that stage, the Ukrainian guys like working out and like gesturing as to what it is, and then they sort of explained it, and the Ukrainians had a bit of a laugh about it. And it was like, go on.
I think they'd almost been like sweetened up by Dave so much, or we're just buzzing off Dave, because bear in mind Dave's there in this red.
Or they just wanted Dave to
but Dave's like legging it about this border control in this red Hawaiian shirt and these kecks, which became quite infamous by the end of the trip.
He had an Ace Ventura shirt on and the same kecks for the whole trip. Honest to God, when he took them off at the end of that trip, when he got home, I reckon they walked by themselves to the fucking washing machine.
When he took his shoes off, like Simon went to shower, Chris, come spray the shoes. The shower stayed like the ocean, come the shoes that he hadn't taken off the whole trip.
So what's the next leg then? So we carry on to Ukraine. We do eventually get to this hotel in, what was it called again? Sani.
It's absolutely lovely.
It was lovely, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a fantastic hotel.
I'm going to go back and spend more than half an hour there, I think.
Honestly gutted that we couldn't sleep in it. But everyone just got a shower, got changed, got back on again and carried on. And then it was touch and go. The next bit was touch and go to get to Kiev in time for the fan park.
Yeah, obviously the fan park was on all afternoon, and we were meant to be on at 2. And my sat nav thing was saying 5 to 2. So obviously, that is cutting it fine. But then I noticed as well that the drivers didn't seem to be going the way my thing said to them. So I had a word and said I've got a thing here and I don't think it's the right way. And he went, oh, our sat nav's not working. So I was just following that bus because I presumed it was Liverpool fans. And I was like, no, I don't think it is. I think it's just a bus. So we went on my phone after there, but then, yeah, so eventually got there 5 to 2. Me and Akko were on stage in 5 minutes, and we needed somewhere to park it. Then again, that was
Dave again.
LFC
press. LFC press.
He had to ramp it up at that point, because I feel like that was the Ukrainian border was just a test for what was to come in this one, because he had to sort of get through what was probably about 4 different guards on this one, and
where's your permit?
Yeah, that's
flew out of the window.
That's what it was. You go, because when we first got to it, it was all sort of like cordoned off, and there was just sort of one policeman there, and he goes, our people are on stage in the fan park, it's the LFC press and all that. And then the policeman points him up to drive up close to the fan park. So we drive up closer, and that's when the guy comes with sort of an envelope full of permits, and he goes, "You need one of these?" And he's going, "Oh no, it flew out the window on the way down the motorway." And he's going, "The inspector said we could come up here. The inspector said we could come up
That
here."
was his word for that argument. Inspector. Last one was press.
We need to get the equipment onto the stage. Equipment onto the stage.
His hands were to get the equipment onto the stage.
Yeah, holding up cameras and all kinds.
And he essentially got what was the only car parking space that I could see.
It was the only car on that road.
Yeah. Because the roads had been closed off around the stadium and around the fan park.
Basically,
so that was as close.
At Shevchenko Park.
Yeah, we had the best car, and then the lads, Neil and John, were able to sprint to the fan park to basically get on the stage for about the time that you were meant to go on, didn't you?
Yeah, so we ended up going on a few minutes later and stuff because I couldn't get my gear to work, so I had to DJ off my phone. Disclaimer. But yeah, no, it was good. It was bossing. I think that was a up the heads moment as well, because obviously for all of us it'd been a mad slog getting there a lot later than we wanted to be. But I remember obviously doing a bit of DJing and then looking to the side and all the lads just having a beer at the side and everything, and seeing Robbo's mates and that backstage and with cold cans of Heineken, weren't they? And it wasn't mad backstage at that point. It was largely just the people who were supposed to be there. And so that was it feels
felt like the payoff, didn't it?
Yeah,
show me love.
Yeah, then we played Show Me Love and the Pyro all went, and yeah, it was a really cool hour that. I feel like it was a good Anfield Wrap kind of win, if you like.
I think as well on that, we should say, and we've said this on some of the podcasts, but we should say that the club come in for a lot of criticism at times, and we're among the people that criticise them. But I think on this, it was a really good idea. It was well executed, and it was good to see the club sort of turn to a bit of fan culture. Not just us, Redmen TV, Boss Knight, Jamie Webster, Peter Rutten on there, John Power on there, and just turning to the fans, if you like, and saying, okay, we respect that there is a culture there, and we're going to help you get that across on the day. And it really, really worked, didn't it? I mean, everyone you've seen en masse, if you like, who was in that park has said what a day.
Yeah, massively. And look, they didn't have to do anything really. They could have just said, well, enjoy Kiev, you know, enjoy yourselves. But they put something on at their own expense, I assume, and you know, it had a lot of kind of organisation really, and we didn't really get told what to do or what to say or anything. It was just Tom Cassidy come on and said, "Will you do an hour?" And that was it. It wasn't like you can't do this, you can't do that. I knew obviously Boss Mag were doing stuff, so I was asking them what they were doing, and they had sort of John Powell, Peter Hooton, and obviously Jamie Webster as well. Didn't really speak to the Redmen lads till the day, but we were saying, oh, you know, what kind of you doing? But none of us had ever been told by the club, oh, you need to, like, you know, this is what we want from you. Like, it was just get on with it, and you know what you're doing, and you know what Liverpool fans are into, so get on with it. So that was dead cool as well. And yeah, the whole thing, just like, we didn't really know what to expect. We just sort of said yes to it, but it was nice, like, you know, sitting on the bus on the way there and planning the set, like, with the boys and stuff. And I think Show Me Love came from, like, the fact that it played on the bus, didn't it? And we were like, yeah, this will go down well. And then I don't think we were expecting that well.
Yeah, it must have been amazing to feel like, because I took, like, got a video over on my phone. Like, even I still watch it now, like, all the time, and like get goosebumps watching it. So I can't imagine what it's been like for you and Neil. Like,
it was unbelievable. Even before that, when me and Josh come into the park slightly late, and like walking in through the trees, and you couldn't see the actual main area where all the fans. You couldn't see the main crowds yet, but you could just see crowds filtering out. And as you went in, it was like red, and you could hear the beginning of the music. So we walked in as, I think it was maybe your first song, but it was MK17. Was like that one of the first ones? Yeah. And that was like, I remember me and Josh just looking at each other and thinking like, fucking hell, we've arrived, this is it now, and like walking through and everyone singing like the Clavin 17 version of it and like bouncing around, and it was dead exciting at that minute. And yeah, the Show Me Love was like something else. It was like as if the two of you were international DJs. Like I don't think fucking Swedish House Mafia get pyro at their shows, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you should look into it. But the whole afternoon was boss, and like coincidentally I've got my Shevchenko Park t-shirt on today, which I just sort of threw on because it arrived yesterday, and that's the one that like Boss Nights have made. And I think like might seem a bit mad to like non-Liverpool fans to like make a top for an afternoon where you didn't end up winning the big cup, but I think it just shows that how much we all enjoyed it and how much it was about, like, you know, Liverpool fans feeling like the back of the, you know, the top table of European football, which is kind of what it felt like that afternoon.
There's been lots of discussion since, hasn't there, about sort of, you know, the way Liverpool fans behave and what they're about and their culture. And I don't just mean from us amongst ourselves, I mean from, like, you know, fans of other clubs. And there's been a lot of sort of piss taken and all that sort of stuff. But for me, what that afternoon showed is that we are different, and we have got a passionate culture around the club. And you know, the amount of flags there, the amount of banners there, the pyro there, how much people enjoyed themselves on the day. I'm not having it that happens at any other club, really. It might happen at some other clubs, but not all of them. Not all of them have got that type of fan culture that we've got. And we should be allowed, and we are allowed, and we're doing it with this video, to celebrate our fan culture.
Definitely. That's one of the things I kept saying was, imagine getting a bus the whole way to Kiev and then seeing your team get beat. And it's like, don't feel sorry for us, lad, because we had the best time ever. And like the whole experience around the match, and in particular on that day in Shevchenko Park, something that'll live with me for the rest of my life. So anyone feeling sorry for Liverpool fans that travelled all that way and spent hundreds and thousands of pounds to get to there to see their team get beat, don't feel sorry for them, because it honestly was an absolute joy to be there. John mentioned earlier about the amount of people in the backstage. By the time Boss Night was on, there was no stage.
The lids.
The lids.
On the fences.
I clocked on. There was like they had security guards there, like sort of manning the fence, if you like. And like some lads like sort of literally got underneath the fence.
Yeah, so
and like the security guard was chocker with it, and he was just like, "What's going on here? These are mad." And like one lad just took a load of euros out of his arse bin, and he's like, "Yeah, fella," putting his arm around him, giving him a bevy and all kinds of, like, you could see him like looking around, going, "I don't know what to do here." Like, I didn't expect it to be like this. I just thought he was going to stand by a fence for a little bit, and then in the end he was like, "Go on," takes the money, takes the bevy, has a swig, big smile on his face, and I thought, well, he's enjoying himself.
But like on that stage for Webster as well, like it was ridiculous, like helping people crowd surf and just like sort of generally policing themselves so that people didn't fall off the stage. But then you had like people from the club like working tirelessly to make sure there was just even a little bit of space for Jamie Webster to play. And I think, you know, there's loads of talk around the song LA 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 and how, you know, I think it started at Boss Night and the videos that went circulated around social media, and then it began being sung at Poro. But it felt like it all built up to that moment then for it to be played live in front of the whole of that crowd and for the pyro to go off, and that was just before a European Cup final, and that felt special, I think.
And the kids as well, and the age of people there.
Yeah, and he was saying before, and like, oh, the players when I live their dreams tonight playing in a European Cup final. Well, this is my fucking dream to do this now in front of all years, and like watching that happen was like amazing to see. We were getting all the news coming through, going, oh, he's in the chart, he's in the top 10.
That's right. He was number 6 on the iTunes chart whenever he was playing, I think, which is just unbelievable. And like you mentioned the fans there as well, like the age of the fans and the age of the lads that were on the stage, like, and the little lids that had like somehow scaled the fence and got in, like they were all dead young, and for them it was their first European Cup final, and like what a way, what, like I've heard and I've spoken to people who have been to European Cup finals before, and they said it was never like that in terms of the day of European Cup finals, and I know there was a stage in Istanbul, but he said it just wasn't like that.
We'd done the podcast on the bus, hadn't we, which I hosted, and a couple of the lads who'd been to European Cup finals were on, and the stories that like you and Gareth and John in particular were sort of talking about, you start to like build an idea of what you think it's going to look like in your head, and it's not so much an expectation, but you go into it thinking, oh, this might happen and this might happen, but then there was like a moment where I'm stood in Shevchenko Park. I think it might have been when Gibbo and Neil were on stage, and I'm just sort of stood at the start of the stage, like looking at like thousands of reds. It's like a sea of red, just like filling basically like all you can see of the park. There's pyro, there's flags, and I was just thinking like, this is what it is to be like a European Cup fan. Like, this is the dream.
And the buzz on the walk to the stadium, I know we walked together, and like I think it was just the excitement building and seeing like little pockets of Liverpool fans like singing songs the whole way there, and the flags, and then as you sort of walked, it almost felt as if you just turned one corner from the park, just turned one corner, and there was finally the stadium, which you hadn't seen yet, with like Liverpool's crest on there, and that was like just a sort of spine tingling moment that we were actually about to watch Liverpool in the European Cup final.
Don't want to do too much on a match because obviously we covered that and everyone knows what happens, but inside the stadium, Walshy, obviously worth mentioning it going off, Dua Lipa.
Your favourite singer.
My new favourite singer.
Like, we've been talking about it in the office and playing like her songs and stuff, like we were all buzzing for it, and like the guys were like, what's this shite? Like, we'll get on the bus and we was playing it again and more and more and more, and by the end you were banging into it, weren't you?
Yeah, it was boss, and obviously knew all about it by the time we got there, because as you said, it'd been like a bit of an anthem on the bus all the way down. And I was in the higher tier, so I wasn't where it was absolutely going off. But you know, still had a bit of a dance on that, like.
From where we were like looking down on that bottom tier where you were, and it just looked absolutely amazing.
It was. I couldn't believe how much it went off. Like, it was so loud as well. Like, when, like, you know, you couldn't hear it. It was like, you know, just because the crowd were just so loud. It was funny. Like,
just like the way like she knows about it though, and has made up and has talked about it since, and like Calvin Harris as well. You know, just to recognise that again, that isn't ordinary. Do you know what I mean? That isn't what happens.
She'd like built it up on the day because she basically had been putting on the day. Like, she turned up wearing red and stuff like that, and she was saying, "Oh, like, I'm a scout for the day." So I think like even the people who hadn't really bought into it by then, like, probably like
my manager's a Liverpool fan apparently. Yeah, so I think he maybe tipped it off and went to Matthews, you know.
We were a bit out of like Walsh, like we were sort of looking down on that lower tier. We were a bit out of it, but like me, Craig, Walsh and Dan Dan Austin was stood on our chairs and like absolutely going for it. And then like when it all sort of died down after the lads behind us turned to us and were like, "You there for the match or Dua Lipa?" And I was like, "Nah, I can just get off now. I'm not the rest of this."
But it was amazing watching down for like I know there's videos going about of like the beginning of One Kiss, but like the bit where it drops, we were like watching down, just seeing loads of like little bucket hats like bouncing around on top of the seats and just going mad. And it wasn't just young lads as well. It was like, you know, there were older people, and I've since seen like on Twitter and stuff loads of people who are 50s. And even 60s, who are talking about Dua Lipa and saying how much they enjoyed it.
I liked about it that, you know, like the Madrid fans obviously revealed like a huge tifo, which did look good, to be fair. But then it was like, you know, and they probably thought at their end, well, that's our little show of strength. And Liverpool fans just had a festival inside the ground. So after the game, then we all pile back on this coach. We have to do an after-match show. It was a little bit somber at first, understandably so, but it didn't take long, did it? Once we got on the road again to sort of turn it round and everyone started enjoying themselves. I think it helped that we signed Fabinho on the way home. I remember all of us going pretty nuts about that, about the sort of the statements of intent type stuff around that. But it was a laugh the way home as well.
Yeah, it was. Like, I remember I was sat because I sort of moved around a bit the bus, depending on kind of what was going on and recordings and stuff. Did we have a set seats? But I was with like I was with the youth free, wasn't I, on the table at that point, and we were just getting all the songs going to all different players and stuff like that. Like
get to ours.
Get to ours.
A list of number of footballers.
Yeah. Just sending writing a Trent song, then sending it to Trent, and I don't think he was that interested at that point. Like
Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold. We signed him from Hoffenheim. Now he scores goals all the time. He is our number 9. Bobby Firmino, get to mine.
But yeah, just loads of them, and like just sort of determined to have a good time. And but to be fair, like, I mean, we had the Ukrainian millionaire with us, didn't we? So like, Craig was bankrolling my phone. I felt like a newer footballer. I felt like I was out with a footballer who was just like, yeah, whatever you want, gorgeous. Making it rain in petrol stations.
Basically what happened was me and Josh had lifted money earlier on in the day, and I think I'd got about 70 quid, but because we were drinking mostly in the, I didn't realise how cheap Ukraine was, first of all. I didn't realise that it was dead money, that you couldn't like swap it back currency, and get, it was closed currency. So we got into the petrol station and we were about to buy booze, and then I just went into my pockets and I had like, I honestly think there was probably about 35 notes in there, but we didn't know the how much it was worth. We didn't know any of this. It was funny being in that
shop because, like Craig says, it was about, like, we were debating how much you should get, and I was like, if I throw 20 and you throw 30 and this is euros to change into, that should be enough. And Craig goes, I'll get a bit more just in case. And like, I was sort of looking at him thinking he doesn't know it's a closed currency. And when this woman hands over the money, I was just like, okay, no, that's like the most money I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I looked like a drug dealer with that much money. Like, it was unbelievable. But then we were in the shop, and I bought a hot dog, and it cost about like 1 note, but you give me back 3 more notes. And so I said, well, I've got all this is a closed currency, so I might as well I'll get all our booze. We can anyone wants food, might as well just get it spent. And we honestly couldn't spend it. We tried our best. We even bought
it was more like he was investing the money than like actually spending it. People just kept giving him interest back.
Yeah, I think I own that shop now.
Buckets and spade, every Rubik's cube.
Yeah,
I was still on the bus because I was sort of doing my editing after the match, so all these had gone into the petrol station and like getting the ale and stuff like that, and I just assumed they'd come back on with ale and food because that felt like the main thing we needed. Little did I know, Craig came back on with a bucket, some little like sand shaper things like a red pepper and some stuff like that, which got like launched at me as soon as you got back on the bus.
Hot dogs for everyone.
Velcro tennis ball catchers, which provided a lot of fun for the first.
And after all of that, I went in with probably like 35 separate notes, and I probably came back with about 42. It was just like I was making money by spending money in the Ukraine, which I'm all for.
Because that window was open all the time as well. It almost split the bus, didn't it? And that we couldn't really hear what you were saying at the front, and you couldn't really hear what we were saying. So we ended up like 2 separate parties, 2 separate sets of in-jokes.
All you could hear was the laughter. Like, you couldn't hear any of the conversation. Yeah. You just heard like
everyone was having a boss time. Like Joe was swilling Ian regularly with his ale. Ian was absolutely hilarious. John's seat just kept like dropping down all the time. Seemingly every 5 minutes. There was so many things. I mean, I don't really know where else we go with this now. I was going to like just read through this list and see if there's anything else worth. We made a list why we could remember everything that we possibly could about the trip. So let's just see if any of them prompt a conversation. Well, we haven't mentioned the flag. The driver got us a flag,
that was sound,
which was boss, a lovely little surprise when we first started the journey. He presented us with a flag he'd had made about the Anfield Wrap journey. So that was held up all the way along, and there's plenty of stuff on social media around that. Johnny's chair have mentioned the press. We've mentioned the press. The busies pulled us over on the way back as well. That
was on the border to Germany.
Yeah, it was between Czech and Germany, or I can't remember which border it was now.
Sure,
we got pulled over and they just laughed at us, didn't they? Basically, had a look in. Dave started trotting out the press line again, and they were just like, if he's been the match sound, and they weren't bothered.
He was using the press for like things he didn't need to use the press for. Like in the end, it was just that's no bearing on. Like he was probably going into shops and handing them like something, then going into the press. And they're probably looking at him like.
We haven't discussed that we stopped at some kind of mad like toilet shower block in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't tell you where it was, but a lot of truckers had also stopped there.
I think it was Poland on the way there.
Yeah, and like it was like a little lay-by thing. There was nothing else there, was there? It was just literally a block where you could go and get a shower, go and have a wee, whatever. And there was a fella stood in the mirror at various degrees of shaving himself. So different people saw different things. Like there's a fella like shaving his head in there. Oh, well, that's not that bad, I suppose. Someone else comes, there's a fella in there shaving his nipples.
He was literally just like... It was precise, like.
Everyone's head's gone. I watched him shave his nipples. I watched the fella shaving his head. Yes, I watched a Slavic trucker shave his nipples, but he wasn't doing a proper like job on his nipples. He was just
a rush job, yeah.
He was doing his face as I went for the piss. Then he was doing his head, and then as I went to wash my hands next to him, he must have clocked himself in the mirror that there were like 2 hairs sprouting out of his nipple, and he just did a little dab with the razor on the nipple, and it stuck with me like.
I can imagine.
So whenever it goes quiet on the coach, it comes back to me.
Honestly, I saw him shaving his head. I didn't see him shaving his nipples.
Oh mate, there was all kinds of nipple shaving going on. But that toilet was wild though, because like he was shaving his nipples, and then you think that's pretty bad. Then you walk into a cubicle, and it was like, oh my fucking god, like King Kong's fingers fucking everywhere. It was just wild.
What was great about the cubicle was that like one person noticed it first, and then it was getting like passed along the queue. So everyone knew not to actually go in there, but wanted to look. So it was just a collection of lads going into a bog and going, fucking hell.
I must have been at the back of that queue to go into the toilet, and every single person that came out, you need to watch that fella in there.
What else was there? There's a few little... I mean, it's a big thing to say that we did this journey and we did it together, and 15 of us pretty much for 6 days get on. You know what I mean? There's no real like fallouts, which I think all of us secretly thought, don't know. And like, especially when you're throwing a few people in the mix who don't really know everyone else and all that kind of thing. And yet it was absolutely fine. But when Dave missed the M25, when we finally got into England, it's fair to say that was a low point. Thought Charlotte or a dad or both were going to batter him. There was also Calais as well, was a little bit of a low point on the way back, in that we initially thought we were going to have to wait absolutely hours to get on a Eurotunnel, but Dave did some negotiation on that one. I'm not going to talk about that because it was just so mad what he came out with. What else have we got on here?
I think that was the first time throughout the whole trip that I think as a collective group we were at the end. Yeah. Like we were at the end of it all, like, because on the way to Prague we were in high spirits because we thought we knew we had a night out in Prague, and then and it always felt as if we were 3 hours away. Like you continually asked throughout the whole journey, how long? 3 hours, then 3 hours. How long? 3 hours. Brilliant. But like by the time we'd gotten to Calais, and we'd been sitting up for about what felt like 3 weeks, but probably only 3 days. And we were at the end, weren't we? We were at the end of a teller. Like I remember waking up and like I just sweaty and a dribble in my face, and I just looked round, and like Sean looked as if he was going to kill someone, and Charlotte's shouting at Dave because he's went the wrong, like he was about to take us into London. I saw a tube stop. That's how close we were to doing it. But that's another thing. Like the drivers have been driving so long at stages, they just looked as if they were, they needed to sleep for about 3 days, because there was a point.
A mammoth journey, wasn't it?
There was a point from Kiev to Prague where they didn't sleep. Between the two of them, they were swapping,
well,
and
they were meant to sleep on the night of the match, weren't they? Before, it was obviously just at the match. They had no time to sleep.
Neil on BBC Breakfast. He tried to do a BBC Breakfast interview in Berlin, I think, in the hotel. It was via Skype. He propped up his phone on a pile of books or something, all ready to go, and then obviously to however many million people, the phone drops, and it's not the greatest interview you've ever seen. Poland, Cheshire Oaks, we went there.
Oh, that was where...
the goth shop.
Yeah. I went to a newsagent and it was run by 2 goths. And I was absolutely chocolate with it. Because you don't see that really, do you?
You had a coach on, didn't you?
So I kept going back to everyone. Every single person come out, they must went to go to that newsagent run by the goths. I was like, Imagine, oh, kid.
you said to me, I was like, what was it like? And you were just like, oh, just trying to order a Coke, and you should be in dead sad. And I was like, just want my Coke, lad, to be honest.
What else have we got? I drank from a cup that said "Enjoy my size," which was slightly weird. There were some bizarre names that went on, not least by border patrols as well. A few of them got on the bus and wanted everyone to hold up the passport and prove who they were and that type of thing. Neil got called Liam at one point for some reason.
That was by Dave. So the person at the sort of like going through the passports, and he goes, and the last one here is Neil, and then Dave just shouts back, Liam.
And Shaw got called Schwan. Schwan Walsh.
I'm into generally. That's it.
There you go. I think we've covered everything, that's on this list.
So I think on the way back, remember when you decided that we'd had enough of petrol station food, and we decided to go for a nice meal in Dortmund, I think it was. It was by this nice little pier or a marina or something, and that felt like a little oasis amongst that mad journey. Do you know what I mean? It was like a nice sit down meal. We all had nice steak.
Hi, this is Craig Hannon, and this is the Craig Hannon Show from Dortmund. Fucking cut that. No. I'm here at Dortmund, and this is my travel program. I will show you around the places you can see in Dortmund. Here you can come for a lovely steak with Craig Hannon, and here is a German building that was built quite a while ago. And this is the marina where you can bring your boats and go for a swim.
Hi, that's very fucking close. Get it up my face.
And then Fabinho was announced while we were eating, which sort of gave everyone another big bit of a lift. And we'd all been saying that day, I don't think we drank that much through the day. We had the nice meal, a couple of pints, and then Fabinho was announced.
Literally a video in a Liverpool kit.
Fucking hell, what is that?
Yeah.
The kit? You went a Liverpool kit?
Yeah. That's absolutely mental.
I can't dispute it.
Oh, goalie. Brilliant. Of the Reds. I don't remember a sign like this ever in my whole life. No. Literally not for a bar.
It's good, isn't it? The Reds.
We'd been saying we were going to have a quiet night tonight and get a proper sleep on the bus and everything, and then it just went absolutely off on the way home, didn't it? And that's
trying to fit Fabinho's name into one kiss for the whole journey.
Yeah, exactly. But that was nice to have a nice sit down meal.
Well, Prague was really late, wasn't it, as well, when we got there? So we couldn't really have a night out in Prague either. Again, a couple of people went for pints and stuff like that. Personally, I knocked a sleeping tablet and got my head down because I was desperately in need of sleep.
Did you find it weird sleeping lying down?
Oh yeah,
the
really
bus.
Weird.
I felt like the bus had sort of.
Like it was moving.
Yeah, we'd been institutionalised by this bus to the point where it felt normal to be sitting up sleeping.
You haven't mentioned the ankles either.
Oh my word, the ankles.
Joe's ankles by this point when we got to Prague in the hotel room was so bad. Joe was a broken man by this point anyway, in a mental sense, but also in a physical sense. He was hopping to the bathroom in our hotel room because his ankles were in such a bad way.
Everyone's went, didn't they? I think at some point, and my mate John, who was on the bus, got something called cellulitis. Which the doc reckoned because he had swollen ankles and then got bit by a mosquito on the swollen ankles. That's where it come from. So you had to have a week off work and a course of antibiotics after the bus trip.
And this felt like this. It looked as if this was a problem with any Liverpool fan that had gotten a bus to Kiev, because Twitter was just awash with pictures of people's massive inflated ankles, which is quite funny.
Our coach, it might have. We never did get that lecky back. We never did get the air conditioning back on. But when you're seeing some of the pictures of the coaches that some of the lads had done, wow. I mean, they were calling them death vessels.
There was a video went up of the death vessel, and it was 2 hours from them getting to Liverpool. And they were bouncing about, singing. They had towels in their head. They looked as if they'd gone fully insane, but fair.
They didn't have the stops we did either, did we? So we'd had the 2 overnight stops on the way there, on the way back, whereas they hadn't had the stops. The only stops they had were for the driver to sleep, I think.
I think they had 10 hours in Poland.
Yeah. That was the only one, and I think that just goes to show what we're like as a fan base, that we will do anything to get to a European Cup final. And some of the prices for Kiev were mad, but fans just found any way, whether it was by planes and trains or whether it was by a bus that only stopped 7 hours or 10 hours in Poland, which is just mad, but just goes to show the lengths we'll go to experience the European Cup final.
Would you do it all again, Gibbo?
Yeah, I would, yeah. I think, we had a really good time, and obviously the stories you've heard, loads of them. I'm sure there's others that we'll remember when we get back upstairs and stuff, and so, I can't imagine doing it any different to how we did. It was great.
it was a fantastic trip. Liverpool didn't win the European Cup, but Liverpool fans had a great time out there. Good memories, good times, and you know that's what football's about as much as what happens on the pitch. I think I'm sure someone somewhere will take the piss out of that, but who cares, because we're Liverpool. Up the Reds.